just because the trade deadline is over does not mean the Miami Heat are done making moves. Let's not forget last month they did trade for Terry Rozier. That counts as something that happened before the deadline, even though it did not happen on deadline day. So the Heat were still one of the most aggressive teams in the league prior to the trade deadline. And I think they will remain one of the most aggressive teams in the league after the trade deadline when it comes to the buyout. The quiet thing that happened in that Rozier trade is that Miami took less money back. They send Kyle Lowry's $29 million out, almost $30 million out. They bring $22 million back in. That got them under that first luxury tax apron to a point now where they have that $5 million taxpayer mid-level exception. They did not have that available when Kyle Lowry was on the roster. They have it now. They also, by saving some money in that trade, can use that $5 million taxpayer mid-level exception. They can use the full allotment of it and still stay under the second luxury tax. So they're not going to be at risk of doing that. So, and because they never filled the 15th roster spot, they have a roster spot available. So the Miami now becomes a option. They become a landing spot and a player on the buyout market in a major way. The one restriction that they do have because of their relationship to the luxury tax right now and where they are against it, they can't sign a player who was making a salary this season of $12.4 million or more. So, for instance, that takes Joe Harris off the table. Not that I think anybody wanted Joe Harris, but he was making $19 million this year. He's not eligible to sign. Spencer Dinwiddie, who's going to be bought out by Toronto, he's making $20 million this year. The Heat are not allowed to sign him. He's making more than that $12.4 million. So when you're kind of going through and thinking about your own buyout options, you have to see first, okay, was their salary this season at $12.4 million or less? If the answer is yes, then the Heat are eligible at least to sign that player. So I've got a list of players here, but before we get to that group and which player I think might be the best fit for Miami, and again, I think they are going to seriously consider some of these names. Let's talk about Kyle Lowry, who it's been reported by Mark Stein. Looks like he's on his way to Philadelphia, which kind of makes that Patrick Beverley thing make a little bit more sense because I don't know that you could have Patrick Beverley and Kyle Lowry on the same team. I think
you
that's
got Maxey, Lowry, and campaign. I don't know.
I mean, you bring Lowry in for your sort of quote unquote defensive leaning guard, I guess, and you bring him home, have a nice vet in the locker room. I think that's helpful just for the presence.
I'm not looking forward to him drawing a charge against Jimmy Butler. I'll tell you that much. That
series is going to be drama filled. Oh yeah. Victor Oladipo is going to be bought out or released from Memphis. He already was. I don't see any sort of reunion happening there.
Not this year. He's just not healthy. He's not available. He's not playing, or else he would be on a roster right now. He's got to take the time to recover. I guess he could be one of those players that they add towards the end of the season. I can't recall exactly what the deadline is that you can add a player as a free agent.
And they usually do that with like younger players, though, who you can get at like those really small contracts, those like really small, like first-year veteran minimums. So I think the Heat have a ton of respect for Victor Oladipo. I think that much is real, but I don't know that they have a whole lot of interest in kind of going through that with him again until or if he ever proves to be healthy for a sustained amount of time. I just don't know that they are interested in kind of circling that wagon again. But that's Lowry and Victor Oladipo. Let's get to some of the other names here that I've got listed. Do you want me to just go through all of them, or do you want me to just tell you my favorites?
Well, can I tell you one name that I don't even think you have on your list because I totally forgot he was a free agent at this point in time. I'm curious if you have him on your list. Bismack Biyombo?
I didn't have him on my list, but talk to me about Bismack Biyombo. He's a free agent.
He trains in Miami. I think he's a big. I think he's. Look, I covered him in Orlando, and he's a great locker room guy, really smart, always hardworking. Just fits like what you would think of Miami culture and what they're looking for. A veteran who can go in there and he knows his role immediately. He's not going to grumble about playing time. He's not going to complain about anything. He played for the Memphis Grizzlies this year when they were going through their injury issues, and he was good. Like, he was actually productive in those limited opportunities. And that was a Grizzlies team that was, without a handful of players at any given moment. And they wound up cutting him because, they're not going to do anything this season. There's no reason to even have him on the roster when you can continue to develop their young players, et cetera. So they cut him. And he's just a guy who he doesn't really add much. But if you're looking for a big, I mean, he's a big, and I think he's a good, solid player, again, who kind of fits what the Heat are typical of in terms of he'll play defense, he'll block shots, he'll pull down rebounds, he'll body up, he'll foul, he'll get the occasional basket down low. That's basically all you're looking for. If you're looking for a more finesse player, you've already got him on the roster, and Thomas Bryant, And unfortunately, he's not getting any playing time. So it's kind of pick your poison. And I don't know which way Miami would lean, but Biyombo's a name that I could see Miami having some interest in. Again, just because of the local connection. He played for Charlotte. I could understand maybe a sense of familiarity with a guy like that too. Maybe it would have made sense with Lowry on the roster, considering they played together in Toronto. But without Lowry, I still think they would maybe consider adding a guy like Biyombo.
He makes an impact everywhere he's been these last couple of years. Like you said, the locker room, like every teammate that talks about Bismack Biyombo loves that guy. He could be like what you like in terms of a locker room addition from a personality standpoint, could be very similar to what Kevin Love brought the locker room last year. Just a guy who's well liked in every room he walks into. I think if you signed somebody like Biyombo, and I do have a few other centers on my list here, it would be an admission that Thomas Bryant isn't the answer there, and that Orlando Robinson isn't ready. Even though I still think the team is pretty high on what Orlando Robinson can turn into. But it's an interesting one. I wouldn't be against it. You would also be carrying then 4 centers on your roster between Bam, Thomas Bryant, Orlando Robinson, because it doesn't make sense to waive those guys unless you really you're not saving any money really. Yeah, unless you negotiate buyouts with them. And I just don't see that happening. Thomas Bryant has a player option for next year. Orlando Robinson's under contract, even though it's partially guaranteed for next year. So I don't see them negotiating buyouts. And I don't see you waiving them and eating all that money for this season and next season. So you'd be basically carrying 4 centers on a roster that essentially just uses one. Yeah. It's just Bam and Kevin Love. Those are your 2 bigs that you use in your rotation. But again, I guess you can look at the other way and say, well, if we got Bismack Biyombo, maybe we would use another big man because we just don't trust Thomas Bryant or Orlando Robinson at this point. The other one I had was Robin Lopez.
I love Rolo.
I know you do.
Love Rolo. I mean, he's
I actually thought that's who you were going to say. Yeah.
No. I mean, I would think that he's on your list. I don't know how, at this point in time, you bring him in basically for what we just said with Bismack. He's a guy, he's going to have his moments there. You're not really, is that unstoppable hook shot of his, the fun times watching him beat up Bernie regularly, all of that would be great. Again, great locker room guy. And maybe he can give you a little intel in a matchup against the Bucks if you meet them in the playoffs. So I could see that as a possibility. But I don't know.
He just hasn't played much lately. I hate to use the word. He's washed. Yeah. He's a good locker room presence. He was on a team with his brother all year long. I don't know that he's a big body, but he's not really doing a whole lot out there.
They've already got one useless brother in Milwaukee. They don't need 2, I guess. That's basically it.
Jeez. Shots fired.
Shout out the Nassus. There you go. Sorry.
Here's the 2 names that I really like. And then we're going to go to some listener questions. We'll do sort of a fake rap, roll credits, and then get to some listener questions on the other side of it. So everybody who's watching live, stay tuned for that. If you're not watching live, you're listening after the fact. That's going to be put up as a bonus episode. The 2 names that I really like, and I'll let you kind of pick whichever one you like more, and then we'll talk about that player. Killian Hayes, who got bought out from Detroit, waived from Detroit, and Daniel House Jr., who got waived from whatever team he ended up getting traded to. Now he's a free agent. So Daniel House, kind of a utility forward, one of those master of none, jack of nothing kind of guys, just sort of a big body who offers a presence defensively, can very streaky as a 3-point shooter, gone from 37% to 33% to 30% this year from 3-point range. But Shams is reporting that multiple suitors are going to be coming after him. Playoff contenders are going to be coming after him. Makes sense as sort of a bit player off of a contending bench. Not somebody that you're going to rely on a night-to-night basis, but there in case of emergency. And then Killian Hayes, former 7th overall pick in the 2020 draft, started the year starting as the point guard for the Detroit Pistons. Since has come out of that starting lineup, but still sort of a rotation player for them. Plays point guard. I don't know. Those 2, what do you like?
Of those 2, I don't think House is a good fit. They've got enough in terms of their wing position right now. I don't think they're looking to really upgrade that. They're looking for either size or complementary guard help, to your point. I think Hayes is a good option, but I also think he would be somebody they'd look at as a long-term prospect more than anything else, and a chance to kind of develop him. That would seem more along what we were just talking about earlier, a guy that they'd sign later in the season and be like, look, we're going to take him, add him to a roster a la Kendrick Nunn, right? A guy who kind of has a taste for the NBA and obviously has a skill set there, but we need to see whether or not he could be a heat culture kind of guy. And so for Hayes, I could see the fit because, again, you know what Miami does. They get the most out of you. You have to buy in here in order for you to thrive at this level. So that could be an option for him. I could see him having interest.
Right.
I don't know how mutual it would be. I just don't know that House, again, if he's not going to add anything of significant value because he doesn't have an elite skill in any area, I'm not sure what the point of him being there. He's
a body.
He's a body and athlete. I mean, you've got
Yeah.
enough of those on the roster.
That it would be if there was something there with the Haywood Highsmith situation. If you're looking to address that position, that would be maybe the only reason I would see them going in that direction. Otherwise,
that's a concern for you. I'm a little surprised.
I'm not. I think there's a lot of question marks. That's all, and the organization hasn't said a whole lot about it, and we don't really know what this is going to be.
They never will.
And they never will. Haywood, who? We don't even know what. We don't even know who you're talking about. We've never seen a Haywood here. Like, no, I think. I like the Killian Hayes idea because it's a no risk proposition. He's a guy who has gotten reps this year. He's gotten reps this year. Okay, fine, whatever. He's gotten reps this year on an NBA team. He's played meaningful minutes on an NBA team. You don't need him to be your starting point guard. You don't need him to be your backup point guard. He could just play if Terry Rozier has to miss a game. He could play some minutes off the bench. He could play some minutes off the bench if Josh Richardson has to miss a game. And at least he's played this year. He's got the reps. He's warm, in other words. And he's only 22 years old. So if you sign him to one of those sort of Kendrick Nunn end-of-season deals, something like that, then you bring him into your development system. He could be a break glass in case of emergency option for this year. Wouldn't play a lick for you in the playoffs unless there were some real bad injury concerns. And then next year, if he impresses the coaching staff, could fight for a roster spot in training camp. I think that when we're talking about buyout options, I don't know that the Kevin Love guy exists. Maybe he does as we kind of get through some of these other options and maybe some other people shake loose here over the next few hours. But if you're looking at something that you can use the remaining money, the remaining roster spot, and do something productive with, that might be something there. And again, I like the idea of just having another point guard on the roster in case one of these other guys gets hurt. Because right now, I think the Heat are being very vulnerable to an injury to one of their point guards. I think that could be a problem for them. So just to have a guy just in case would be very valuable.